Hi everybody, this is Bastiaan and this is the annotation of a King's Gambit game I just played at work. So play starts with e4, e5, f4 signaling the King's Gambit, and black doesn't accept the King's Gambit, instead plays d5, the Falkbeer counter gambit. So he's looking to complicate the situation, and I immediately return the favor with d4. So now all of white's pawns can be taken, so there's no clear idea in which direction the game is going from this point. And black plays he takes f4, bishop recaptures, pawn takes pawn, and black is still up the gambit pawn, so I play knight to c3, the most natural move, trying to recapture the gambit pawn. Bishop b4, pinning the knight, and knight to e2. So knight to e2 prevents the doubling of the pawns, but does not allow knight takes e5, e4. So I can't recapture the gambit pawn just yet. Black plays knight to f6, bringing in extra defense for his e4 pawn. So black is looking to keep his pawn advantage. h3, move that prevents all tactics with knight to g4. So black plays knight to d5, attacking my bishop on f4, thus relinquishes the protection on e4. So queen to d2, so I'm looking to castle queenside. Knight to c6, adding pressure to the pawn on d4, developing. Castle, castle, and a3. So now I'm trying to get rid of the bishop, and if I can get rid of it, I can take on e4. So black retreats on e5, b4, and bishop to b6, and this allows me to recapture the gambit pawn, but in doing so I've weakened my king side by overextending my pawns on a3 and b4. So at this point I'm entertaining the notion to play aggressively with pawn storms. Black plays h6 to prevent all tactics on g5. Bishop, knight, or even queen to g5 is no longer possible. And I play c4, attacking the knight. So the knight is forced to either retreat or take on the bishop on f4. So black takes the bishop, queen recaptures, and I continue the pawn advance with black instead continues a pawn advance of his own with f5, attacking my knight. So knight retreats, pawn g5, queen retreats, and a5. But this pawn move doesn't force any retreats, because there are no longer any pieces under attack. So I can recapture or advance my pawns as well. So b5, attacking his knight, so knight has to retreat. c5, taking the bishop, bishop retreats, and knight to g3. And at this point analysis has indicated that h4 would have been best, allowing the queen to develop on the d2, h6 diagonal. However, this wasn't played. Bishop e6, d5, so continuing the pawn advance. f4, black plays with the same idea. So now pawn attacks bishop and pawn attacks knight. So I take. Black plays the in-between move, queen takes queen, rook takes queen, and pawn takes knight on g3. But this leaves white with a small edge, because now the rook is on an open file and black has two doubled pawns. So I continue with b6, again pushing the pawns, But this no longer threatens the bishop on a7, because black can simply recapture with pawn takes pawn on b6, and pawn takes pawn was played, so I'm sacrificing a pawn. But the reason why is that at this point this bishop is out of play because his diagonal is being blocked, and this gives white a lot of attacking chances. Rook to d7, immediately forking knight and pawn. Knight c6 in order to save the knight, but with knight to c6 white can continue his pawn advance with e7, which was played, threatening promotion on the e-file. So black blocks with rook to f through e8. So now we're seeing two attackers on the pawn. So the knight is being brought in, knight to d5. This protects the pawn on e7, also allows knight to c7, forking both rooks. We can see black's bishop is still being out of play, in a terrible position on a7. So now black needs to move his rooks. Rook to b8, and now knight to c7 to get rid of the rook on e8 cannot be played, because then simply rook takes pawn. So we need to get rid of this knight first. Bishop b5 will do the job nicely. Now the knight has to move, knight goes to e5, and again we cannot play knight to c7 to chase the rook, because now the knight is attacking the rook on d7. So instead rook takes pawn is played, gaining a pawn and using another attacking idea to remove both rooks from the 8th rank. So rook takes, bishop takes, rook. White is up a pawn, and both rooks have been removed from the 8th rank. Also, the king on g8 can no longer advance to f8 or f7, so black's king is being out of place as well. Rook to b8 in order to cover the 8th rank. So the bishop retreats, and now black can play king to f7 in order to protect e8. But after rook f1 check, king has to move again and has to go to e6 and can no longer defend the e8 square. And at this point white can continue with pawn to e8, promoting to a queen, which will win the game. But rook to f8 was played, so king takes knight, rook takes rook, and bishop takes rook, and there's no longer any way to stop the promotion. Pawn to e8 queen, and at this point black resigns the game. So I hope you enjoyed this quick annotation of this King's Gambit game I just played at work, and thanks for watching, and please leave a comment and have a great evening.